I have done something unforgivable. I don't know how else to start this. There's no way to dress it up, no way to soften it, and no way to explain it without sounding like exactly what I am. I messed up, not small mistake, messed up. Nuclear level, life-destroying mistake. I've been with my girlfriend for 2 years. 2 solid years. We've talked about marriage. We've talked about kids. We've been actively trying for one. Our families know each other. We spend holidays together. This wasn't some casual relationship. This was the relationship. And then I did something unbelievably stupid. 3 weeks ago, I slept with her sister. It happened once, one night. One decision that I wish I could rewind and erase. Her sister told me she was on birth control. I didn't question it. I didn't think about consequences. I didn't think about anything except the fact that I was crossing a line that should never be crossed. It didn't even feel real at the time. It felt like something that existed outside of my normal life. Like it was separate from my relationship. Like it would stay buried if we both agreed to pretend it never happened. But life doesn't work like that. Last week, my girlfriend told me she was pregnant. We've been trying, so there was no shock about it being mine. We were happy. I acted happy. I hugged her. I told her we'd be amazing parents. And in that moment, I thought maybe I had gotten away with it. Maybe that night would just stay a secret mistake. And then later that same day, her sister told me she was pregnant too. I felt like the air got sucked out of the room. She said she hadn't been with anyone else in 2 months. She said it had to be mine. She was calm when she said it. Calm in a way that made it feel real. 2 pregnancies. 1 girlfriend, 1 sister, both tied to me. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. I just remember staring at her, trying to calculate timelines in my head, trying to convince myself this couldn't be happening. But the math didn't lie. If both were telling the truth, then I had managed to ruin 2 lives at once. My girlfriend was glowing. She was already talking about baby names. She was already planning how we tell our families. She had no idea that I was standing there wondering if I had just destroyed her entire world. Her sister told me she would wait for me to tell the family. She said she didn't want to blindside anyone. She said it was my responsibility to handle it. My girlfriend wanted to tell people immediately, but I convinced her to wait a couple of weeks. I told her we should make sure everything was okay first. That we should go to the doctor. That we should just breathe. Really, I just needed time. Time to figure out how to confess. Time to prepare for being hated. Time to prepare for losing everything. Because there's no scenario where this ends well for me. If I tell the truth, I lose my girlfriend. I lose her family, I probably lose most of my friends. I become the guy who slept with his girlfriend's sister and got them both pregnant. If I stay silent, it only gets worse. Eventually the timelines won't line up. Eventually the truth explodes anyway. And then I'm not just the cheater. I'm the liar who let 2 women go through early pregnancy without telling them the full picture. I can barely sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I picture both of them sitting across from me when they find out. I picture their parents. I picture holidays that will never happen again. I know what everyone reading this is thinking. I know I deserve whatever comes next. But here's the thing. I don't want to run from it. I don't want to hide. I want to do the right thing. I just don't even know what that looks like anymore. Do I tell my girlfriend first? Do I sit them both down together? Do I confess privately to the sister's pregnancy and let my girlfriend decide what to do? Every option feels catastrophic. My girlfriend trusts me completely. Completely. She has no suspicion. She has no doubt. She's talking about baby clothes while I'm calculating how to confess to sleeping with her own sister. And her sister, she's quiet. She hasn't pressured me. She hasn't threatened me. She just keeps saying, you need to tell her. And she's right. I need to come clean before this goes any further. Before families get involved. Before announcements happen. Before the damage spreads. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect understanding. I just need to know how to do this in the least destructive way possible, if that's even possible. Because right now I'm standing in the middle of something I created, and I can feel the explosion building. And I know it's only a matter of time before everything blows up. I posted on Friday afternoon because I couldn't handle the pressure building inside my head anymore. The comments were brutal, and honestly, I deserved most of them. A few people gave practical advice, but the overwhelming message was simple. You did this, now own it. I kept refreshing the page like it would somehow change the reality of what I had done. It didn't. That evening felt like walking toward a cliff with my eyes open. I had already told her sister to come over around 9:45 p.m. so we could sit down and tell my girlfriend the truth together. I didn't want to delay it any further because every extra minute felt like another lie. My girlfriend gets off work at 10 p.m. on Fridays, and I knew I had less than an hour to prepare myself for the end of my relationship. I rehearsed what I would say at least 100 times. I kept pacing the living room, checking my phone every few minutes. I expected panic, anger, maybe tears, but I told myself I deserved whatever reaction came. The house felt suffocatingly quiet, like it was waiting for something to explode. At 9:45, I looked out the window expecting to see her sister's car pulling up. Nothing. By 9:50, I started feeling uneasy. I sent a text asking if she was still coming. No response. At 9:55, I convinced myself maybe she had changed her mind and I would have to confess alone. The silence felt intentional. When 10 p.m. came and went with no sign of her, I knew something wasn't right. My girlfriend would be home any minute. I felt my stomach drop into my chest because I realized I might not control how this came out anymore. That's when I heard the front door open. They walked in together. My girlfriend and her sister came through the door side by side, and something about their expressions immediately told me I was not the one leading this conversation anymore. There was no confusion on my girlfriend's face, no innocence. She looked composed in a way that made my blood run cold. They told me to sit down. I don't remember moving, but suddenly I was on the couch, and they were standing across from me. Her sister spoke first. She told me she had already confessed everything earlier that day. The hookup, the timeline, the messages, the pregnancy lie, everything. Apparently, after I posted, someone recognized details and reached out to her anonymously. She confronted me indirectly, then decided she wasn't going to wait for me to do the right thing. Instead, she went straight to my girlfriend. There had been yelling earlier, she admitted, a lot of yelling. But by the time they showed up at my house, they had already processed it together. They weren't fighting each other anymore, they were united. Then came the part I never saw coming. Neither of them were pregnant. There was no baby, no second baby. No overlapping timelines of fatherhood. The entire story had been fabricated to see how I would handle it. They wanted to know how long I would keep the secret. They wanted to see if I would confess immediately or try to protect myself first. And according to them, I failed. My girlfriend said the moment I asked her to wait a few weeks before telling anyone about her pregnancy, she knew something was off. She said she had never seen me hesitate like that before. When her sister came to her with the truth, everything clicked. They admitted they decided to go along with the fake pregnancy story to watch how I would react. They wanted to see if guilt would push me to confess quickly or if fear would make me stall. Watching me scramble to coordinate timelines, asking them both to delay telling family, apparently gave them their answer. My girlfriend was eerily calm the entire time. She wasn't screaming, she wasn't crying. That calm hurt more than anger would have. She said she didn't need theatrics or revenge. She just needed to be done. She told her sister to pack a bag because she was staying with her. I tried to speak. I tried to explain that I was planning to confess that very night, that I had set up the meeting, that I wasn't going to hide it forever. But the words sounded weak even to me. Intentions don't erase actions. She looked at me and said, if you were going to tell me immediately, you wouldn't have asked us both to wait. And honestly, I didn't have a response. Because she was right. Even if I planned to confess, I had already chosen to buy time. I had already prioritized managing fallout over being honest the second it happened. I offered to help move her belongings. I told her my friends and I would bring her furniture wherever she needed. I said anything I could think of to show I wasn't completely heartless. She told me not to touch her stuff. She said she would be fully moved out by Monday when I got home from work. There was no room for negotiation. They didn't stay long after that. There was no dramatic argument, no thrown objects, no tears in front of me. They had already done the emotional part earlier without me. When the door closed behind them, the silence in the house felt different from before. Earlier that week, silence had meant tension. Now it meant emptiness. I sat there for a long time after they left. 3 weeks ago, I made a reckless decision that felt contained and private. It was one moment, one night. I convinced myself it could be isolated from my real life. I convinced myself it didn't define me, but choices don't exist in isolation. Now I'm single. I lost a 2-year relationship with someone who trusted me completely. I damaged whatever bond existed between those sisters. I became the guy who cheated with his girlfriend's sibling, a label that doesn't wash off. There are no babies involved. No complicated custody battles, no financial entanglements, just consequences. The irony is brutal. I kept telling myself I wanted to do the right thing. I imagined myself being noble for confessing eventually. But the right thing would have been not betraying her in the first place. There's no moral high ground in cleaning up a mess you created. I replayed the entire timeline in my head that night. The hookup, the secrecy, the rationalizations. The way I compartmentalized it as if it wasn't connected to the woman I claimed to love. It's unsettling how easily I separated those two realities. I also realized something uncomfortable. Part of me had hoped the pregnancies were real at first. Not because I wanted the chaos, but because real pregnancies would have shifted some focus away from the cheating itself. It would have complicated things enough that my betrayal wouldn't be the only headline. Instead, this was clean and simple. I cheated, I lied, I stalled, and I lost her. The worst part isn't the anger from strangers online. It's knowing that when they tested me, they weren't even trying to trap me into something new. They were just observing how I handled a mess I already made. They wanted to see what kind of man I was under pressure. And apparently, the answer wasn't good enough. Now the house feels bigger than it did before, quieter. Every room reminds me of conversations we had about the future. Baby names that will never be used. Plans that don't exist anymore. There's no dramatic cliffhanger here. Neither of them were pregnant. They just wanted to know if I would step up or protect myself first. And now I'm alone with the result.